Hey folks, Rob Flux here with another Real Deal in the Field. Today we're talking to Simon and Will, some of my former students, on their very first project together, a 1:2 subdivision here in Salisbury. Some fantastic stories that we're going to learn out of this process. But boys, firstly, welcome. Tell us a little bit about the deal, projected profits, how you found it, and a couple of things like that.
Sure, yeah. So how we found the project and the deal itself, it was on market. Initially, our offer was the second best offer. It wasn't until the first offer actually fell through that we were then able to have another second bite of the cherry, so to speak, and pick up the site for a little bit cheaper than what we wanted. But we offered unconditional, and that was just based off the relationship with the real estate agent as well.
Really important point, mate, the relationship with the real estate agent. Firstly, the first contract falling over, they couldn't get finance, so instantly we've got a disappointed vendor in place. Relationships with the agent to then position you guys in, and then you still negotiated a discount from there. How did you negotiate that discount? Like when that vendor already had that expectation up here, how did you get them down here?
Yeah. I guess they just experienced a negative. They just had a bit of a setback. They're wanting to sell. Maybe that was a signal to the market that maybe they were priced a bit too high. And we came in with really good terms. We were really keen for the site. And we let the agent know how keen we were. We had finance. We had everything lined up, ready to go. And I think he just wanted to close the deal, and they were happy.
So really good terms, really interesting. So when we understand the needs of a vendor, there's 4 levers that I regularly talk about. So there's time and certainty in this particular instance. So the fact that you could give them the really good terms gave them that certainty. The other one is risk, and lastly is money. Money is sometimes not as important, folks, if you understand what the other 3 drivers are. And in this instance, certainty is the one that actually got that across the line. Now, it's not just the 2 of you in the deal. There's actually a 3rd JV partner. So Lisa, we're actually going to go and meet Lisa in a couple of secs. But folks, it's a little bit hot out here, hence why we're all wearing the shades. We're going to go out the back and we're going to understand some of the other issues and challenges on this site. Hey folks, here we are at the back of the property in the shade. Sunnies are gone, and we've now got Lisa, the 3rd party in the joint venture. And boys, after our little chat out the front, Lisa has just told me the truth about how this deal has actually come together. It was Lisa who had the relationship with the agent, and so Lisa was the one putting the offer in. Lisa, you're a mortgage broker.
Yes.
So your relationship with the agent is from your previous world in that mortgage broking world, and when you put the first offer in and it got rejected, he called you next. What happened there?
Well, he pretty much said, "Are you a mortgage broker?" And I said, "Yeah." So, "Are you putting an offer for this house?" And I'm like, "Yes." And then we worked the relationship. I worked the relationship. I think I made pretty many offers at his properties prior. So because it was Easter at that time as well.
It was
Easter. I was serious. Like, I was the only one attending the inspections.
So not only was it Easter and were you the only one doing it, but in fact, these boys weren't even doing it themselves. So these boys weren't even in town. What was happening for you, Simon?
I think I was in Thailand at the time.
Thailand, and where were you, Will?
Oh, I thought I was here, but yeah, it sounds like I was somewhere gallivanting, climbing mountains or something, according to Lisa.
Yeah, so Lisa's put this deal together and these boys have come along for the ride. But no, I'm clearly saying that tongue in cheek, folks. I guess a very good joint venture relationship with each person playing an important role in that process. So the 3 of you coming together, I want to talk a little bit about joint ventures. A lot of people, I guess, put joint ventures together, and they're sometimes not a good fit because they don't understand the different roles and strengths and weaknesses. How is it that this little union came together, and do you have a clear differentiation as to who's responsible for what?
Yeah, so we definitely do have a clear differentiation between the 3 of us. So 3 of us individually have done developments ourselves. So Lisa's done a 1:2 building rooming houses. You're doing a splitter. You've finished your second house just now, and I've done my townhouses and done some real deal projects there. But to understand that we wanted to scale up and do more projects, that we decided to partner up together, partly because we know each other prior to all of this through the Property Developer Network Meetup groups, but also Lisa has been doing a lot of my mortgage broking and finances for my stuff and my parents' stuff. And then Will, known him through distant relations and from friends as well. And so then we were thinking we're all coming in with similar interests, but also we just want to get in and do developments, but we also have different roles and different strengths that we can rely on.
Skill sets as well.
Yeah.
So what were the different roles that you played in this process? Really important that everybody understands the differentiation that say, because if you've got one person in charge, then it's very clear what's going on. But if you've got 3 people in charge, then who's responsible for what?
Yeah.
So pretty much I was the acquisition person, and I pretty much look after the finance broking side of things, so making sure that the project's approved with the banks, making sure we have enough money for funding, not just with the acquisition part, but more the construction as well, because sometimes the banks want certain stuff that needs to be met even before you even start. So sometimes it's about getting all the information prior to making offers and making sure that everything is stacked up.
Yep. And making sure that the entity is ready for financing.
Yep.
So Lisa was the one to orchestrate all of that and the admin side of things as well. My role came in from more of a town planning point of view. So before this site, we spent almost a year looking for sites together. And it was just that ability for me to just go, look, is this good? Is this a good area? Can we do a development? Can we do a subdivision? Can we do something here? And this is where we landed on and arrived at. And with Will,
Yeah, myself, I naturally went more to the build side of things. So I've built a couple recent homes out at Cooper's Plains as part of my own development. I took charge in everything related to the build, so engaging the builder, going to the colour selections, really doing the research of what spec we were going to do as well for the builds. And I think we've all had something that's really complemented and come well together as a team.
And each of those roles and responsibilities, I guess, put down formally in your joint venture document, so you know who everybody is doing, what role they're playing.
correct.
Very good. Now that we've got the joint venture side of things done, the other reason we're out the back, you may not have noticed it while we were standing at the front, but the houses are a little bit closer to the front of the property than you would typically have from a front setback perspective. And that was largely because there's this giant tree that's actually sitting here that you boys, rather than seeing the tree as a problem, you've decided to see the tree as an opportunity. So what was the opportunity that you saw out of that?
Yeah, definitely. I think the first kind of constraint that we looked at the tree, we're like, oh, the sewer line is running through the back of the adjoining back neighbour there. So that sewer line in the back, we thought that might be a bit of an issue, having to drill through, but QU was very professional and said, it's fine, we'll tap into that, no problem. The tree is not going to be an issue. So we didn't have to cut down the tree. And so then we were thinking, okay, if we can save money on not having to cut down the tree, then we can dress it up.
Yeah,
Right.
and we were also worried about the roots as well, because the root system, the canopy protruded quite close to where you can see the current builds are now. And we were worried that when they would peer down and do the foundations there, that there might be an issue, they might run into some difficulties. Yeah, went back and forth and had a chat to the builder, and they did their soil reports and everything, and it worked in our favour to keep it in the end. Especially with this being westerly direction, I think it really blocks out that afternoon sun and just creates a really nice space for the future owners.
Yeah, but the knock-on impact of trying to keep the tree was that you actually had to push the houses forward, and hence my comment before with regards to the setbacks side of things. So what did you need to do in order to solve that? Because I guess as soon as you breach your front setbacks, you need council approval.
Correct. Yep. So that siting variation had to go through and manage that process with the builder. Will was very instrumental in that, and then talking to the certifier as well, just to get them to agree with and let the builders be able to go that extra couple of metres forward, or a metre and a half.
Yeah. And we knew that was an acceptable solution. And we'd lodged successfully with Brisbane City Council to get that relax, but it was just back and forth with the builder for 6 to 8 weeks to lodge that on our behalf. And in the end, we got there and we got the outcome we needed.
And I think it's going to create a beautiful space as a result of that. It's going to have a beautiful big backyard, lots of shade, and like you said, protection from that western sun, which I think is a really good outcome. So folks, we're going to go inside now, actually have a look at the house. It is under construction, so we have to use our imagination a little bit, but coming inside, we'll take a look. Okay, we're on the inside now. Tell us a little bit about the specs of these.
Yeah, so we engaged a project builder, and we're doing 2 5-bed, 3-bath, 2-car, 2-story houses. And the spec we went for was medium to high spec based on where the market was when we first acquired the site. And we just tried to keep costs down. We're still keeping that kind of premium Hamptons look, and just,
But big homes and a medium spec fit out.
300 square metres each, and we also have a media room on the ground floor which can double as an extra bedroom, so a 5th bed. There is a full bathroom downstairs as well, and so that kind of appeals to that multi-generational family which might be buying in the area, so we thought that was a good appeal.
Of which there's plenty in this area as well. So let's talk numbers. So what was the projected numbers on this particular project? Clearly in motion at the moment, but what were the numbers going in?
Right at the beginning, it was looking at around 300,000, but now that the market has moved so much, we're looking at least 600.
Okay, and in going into that, 300 doesn't sound like a lot, but why did you go into a deal that was a little tight on the outside, Nate?
I think because we've seen how much the market has moved in this area, especially with some of the recent sales and the project that Will has done over in Coopers Plains in the next suburb over, I think that's given us that bit of confidence to be able to go, yeah, I think Salisbury might be the next, what we call the spillover suburb from some of the more premium suburbs like Tarragindi, which is just on the other side of on the mountain there.
So in short, you could see that the market was moving. You're confident the deal made sense and that you'd get some uplift. How big is the uplift? I guess that's still being worked out, but the market is moving really well at the moment.
Yes.
Should be very handy. Now, when the actual project is finished, and there's a little way to go on that, what's the timeline to actually finish construction, put it on the market?
So we're looking for construction to finish probably around June or July 2026. And then from then on, we've got to do a lot of post-handover, get it looking perfect, and then that's when we start our campaign. So we're hoping to launch and sell the 2 houses in spring of 2026.
Perfect. Now, when that project finishes, that we're going to get them to actually come and present the full real deal. So you're going to get all the story of all the warts and all. We'll get their actual final numbers in the end, and maybe it's gone to the moon at that point. Maybe it's 900K, maybe even a mil, who knows. But either way, we're going to see that at one of our upcoming meetups. This is based here in Salisbury and Brisbane, so we're going to see them at the Brisbane meetup. But we run these meetups all the way around the country, folks. Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne and Adelaide. And I'm pleased to say that Perth is just around the corner. So folks, I hope to see you at one of the meetups, and then you guys can get the full story from these guys there. Till then, folks, bye for now.
Awesome.
Bye.